Hi, hope you're fine. Welcome to another lesson. Today, I'll do a long turn talking about the person I admire. But before I do that, I want to tell you about the different types of questions that we get in the part 2 of the speaking test. If you find it hard to talk about the questions that you get in this part, just because there are so many of them and you don't have enough ideas, you don't have as much as you should to keep talking for 2 minutes, try putting the topics into 5 categories: people, places, things, events, and activities. Most questions fit into one of these categories. And then what you need to do is learn some words and ideas for each category so that you have enough to say no matter what the question is. But of course, you need to be flexible in your use of the words and ideas that you learn. If you still don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. I'm going to walk you through this. You just sit back and relax. Today we're going to be talking about the first category, which is people. Let's first see some of the questions that fit into this category. In part 2, when you want to talk about a person, you may want to talk about how hard he tries to help other people. You could use this idiom: go out of his way to do something. He went out of his way to help me. Let's say the topic is describe somebody who has helped you a lot. This is how I'd use this idiom. He always goes out of his way to help me. The other day, for example, I was a little short on money, so I couldn't buy my mom a decent birthday present. And when I told him about it, he borrowed some money from somebody else to help me out. As you saw, I didn't just say he goes out of his way to help me. That wouldn't have been good. Explain what you mean. You can't just say something and then move on to the next point. Explain everything that you say. Give extra information. Let's say the topic is describe a famous person in your country. This is how I'd use the same idiom. He's also a philanthropist. He always goes out of his way to help people in need. Last year, for example, after one of our cities was hit by a major earthquake, he built many houses for the victims. Sometimes you want to talk about how patient somebody is. You can use this idiom: the patience of Job. Somebody has the patience of Job. You can use this idiom to describe a teacher, a family member, or even a friend. Let's watch how I use this idiom. You'll see that this part could be about any of these people. Something great about him is he's got the patience of Job. He never loses his temper, no matter what. You may want to talk about how fun somebody is. You can say he's fun to be around, or he's the life of the party. You could say these about a family member or a friend. So whether the question is about a person you admire or a person you're close to, you can talk like this. He's really fun to be around. Time flies when you're with him. Whenever we have a get-together, he's just the life of the party. He gets everyone to dance and tells funny jokes and makes us laugh. If you want to say that somebody always helps you, you can use this idiom: be there for somebody. My friend is always there for me. My father is always there for me. Listen to me talking about one of my friends. What I love about him is that he's always there for me. We may not be best friends, but he always helps me when I need him. You can also talk about how funny somebody is. You can say somebody has a great sense of humor. They make people laugh, they are good at telling jokes, and also they see the funny side of things. Crack somebody up is another thing that you can use in this situation. Crack somebody up means to make somebody laugh. My friend is so funny, he always cracks me up. My father is so funny, he always cracks me up. Or you may be talking about a comedian. He is so funny, he cracks me up. Let's watch me talking about a comedian in my country. He's great at what he does. He acts in such a funny way that he just cracks me up whenever I see him on TV. There is one more. Sometimes you can talk about how creative somebody is. A movie director, a writer, or a business person. Or maybe even a friend or a family member. You can say somebody can think outside the box, which means somebody can think of new ideas, new ways of doing things. Let's watch this part. This part could be about any of these people that I mentioned. What I love about him is he seems to be able to think outside the box. What he does is very different from anybody else's. These words and idioms were just a few examples. The thing is, the range of potential topics that you might get is vast. So there is no way you can prepare for every single one of them. But you can learn some words that give you ideas to talk about the subject that you'll be asked about. For example, today you learned that when it comes to talking about people, you can talk about how creative, how patient, or how funny they are. And now you have the tools to talk about this. And I can't stress this enough. You have to explain everything. You have to give an example. You have to give some extra information about the thing that you have just said. Let's see today's topic. This is the first time we're looking at the bullet points. We can use them as a guide, but we don't want to limit ourselves to them because we may find that the suggestions in the bullet points do not totally relate to our experience of the topic, or they aren't really what we want to say about it. Anyway, let's take a look at the bullet points and see which ones can help us. The first one, who the person is. I'm going to talk about it in my introduction. So I'm going to say something general as usual, and then in my introduction, I want to say who the person is. Today I'm going to be talking about my father. The person I admire is my father. And the next keyword is how you know the person, how you know him or her. So like I said, I'm going to be talking about my father, so I won't be talking about this. It'd be funny to say, to talk about how I know my father. And the next one, so see how important it is to be flexible. Not all of them can be helpful sometimes because, like I said, they may not totally relate to our experience or to the thing we want to say about the person or the thing we'll be talking about. And the next one, what the person is like. So we need to be talking about the person's character, what kind of person he is. Okay, this is going to be my next keyword. What he's like. A general statement, introduction, what my father is like. I'm going to be talking about my father's qualities. And then explain why you admire this person. So my next keyword is going to be why. But I need to be very careful because, there might be, if I'm not careful, there might be an overlap, because what the person is like and why I admire him, may have, basically I may be saying the same things. So I have to be very careful. I have to separate the kind of person he is, and why I admire him. So when I'm talking about what kind of person my father is, I'm gonna leave something for the next keyword. For the next keyword, I'm gonna be talking about why I admire him. I want to be saying something more important. And finally, I'll be talking about an advantage of having such a father. What kind of, how my father influenced me, or how my life would be if I didn't have, this father. And here are my keywords. Take a look at them, and then we'll be watching my long turn. I can think of a few people I look up to, but now that I kind of have to pick only one, I'd like to talk about my father because he's always been a major influence in my life. He's got some great qualities, which is why he's always been my role model. To begin with, he's really hardworking. He's a shopkeeper and he always leaves for work early in the morning and comes back home quite late at night. And another great thing about him is, he's really patient. He's got the patience of Job. So when you're with him, you're never worried that he might get angry or anything. Nothing can cause him to lose his temper. And if he sees something that he doesn't like, he somehow manages to stay calm. And something else about him is he's a really fun person to be around. So when you're hanging out with him, you have so much fun, you just lose track of time. And if you're down, whatever the reason is, just being with him cheers you up. So with all these, how could anyone not admire him? But there is even more. I always admire my father because I think he brought me up in a very good way. You see, he was always, he was quite strict, but always fair. He always knew how to react when I did something wrong. And besides, he's always been a great person to turn to for advice. I think my father set a good example by working hard, like I said, and making time for his family at the same time. He always got the balance right. And he also set a good example by always having a positive attitude on life. He approaches everything like the glass is half full. And the good thing is I take after him. At least I think I do.